You know, I am very fond of you.
Thank you. I'm very fond
And
of
I
you
get
as well.
worried about you. Well, the fans of wrestling get worried about a lot of people,
Sure.
but I know you personally, and I get worried about you a little personally.
Yeah.
You know, we hear about talent that their out of the ring legacy begins to outshadow anything they did in the ring, no matter how good. I mean, sometimes it's extreme, like a Benoit thing, and then sometimes it's good, The Rock, things like that. Are we headed there?
I would like to think not. I mean, I can only say no. I mean, I mean, if I think any other way, then I'm going to end up, you know, in the gutter. You know, Sean. I mean, that doesn't mean to say that I'm going to be, you know, walking the straight and narrow, perfect line and never trip and fall. It's just that when I trip and fall, you know, people notice it a little bit more, rightfully so.
But the catchphrases, if we could throw them out, addiction, arrest, pornography, suicide.
Sure, yeah.
You don't get more severe than these things.
That's pretty hardcore stuff, yeah.
And maybe it's challenging the gifts you gave to the fans a little bit.
You know something, Sean, and this is I can already tell this seems like a whole lot different, you know, vibe we got going here for this one, you know. It's just, I mean, it's not, I can tell, it's just, we're a little more serious
we are.
here, not so much comedy relief, and I'm happy about that, actually. But steer me back on course here.
Well, I just, these catchphrases that I've pulled from the headlines about you, maybe are weighing a little more than some of the wonderful in-ring gifts that you gave fans,
sure, yeah.
maybe in particular to younger fans whose only exposure to your legacy is going to be on what comes out on DVD and what selectively people, federations choose to release now.
Yeah.
And now it's competing with TMZ headlines with this other stuff. Do you think about that?
Of course I do. Yeah, and especially when, you know, I'm thinking with a clear head. I think about it a lot. There's not a lot you can do to change things that, you know, you've done. You can try to make amends, do your best at that, try to stay out of trouble. But, you know, I was doing pretty damn good, you know, and then last year I had to, you know, run in with the law over, you know, not having a prescription for pain pills.
December 21st, 2011.
Well, that was actually the date that I think I might have turned myself in.
Oh, perhaps.
But like the
Tampa,
actual,
right?
No, it was actually Orlando.
Yeah. 2 counts of PCS, right? Possession of controlled
Yeah,
substance.
yeah. There was actually the police report was a little inaccurate. Not saying those guys weren't great that I dealt with, the officers. They were fantastic, but yeah, no, I was trying to obtain you know, pain pills, and it didn't matter which kind actually at that point, you know, because, you know, I was in a lot of pain. I was hurting.
How were you trying to acquire them?
I was trying to buy them off the street.
Oh, off the street, okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be talking about, you know, arrest and
Well,
all
sometimes
these other
there's
keywords.
a problem with the script. You go in
Yeah,
and maybe it's
no,
not
it was
you.
nothing like that. I mean, mind you, you know, arguably I have as much of a medical, you know, use for that type of stuff as anybody else, but I'm also a drug addict.
Right.
You know, so I mean that's where the problem lies.
So the arrest comes. It's that. It's paraphernalia. Did you have a pipe? What was it?
Yeah, but these are just things they throw on there. You know.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to downplay anything, Sean,
Right.
but you know, I mean, if you've ever been in trouble, you know, they try to throw as much little things on there that they end up giving you back, you know, like in negotiation or whatever. But
Is it after they figured out you were famous?
they knew, the guys, the officers knew, and actually that's why I didn't go to jail when this originally happened. And this is close to a year ago, Sean.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's a long time for me. Maybe not for you or others that it's kind of somewhat fresh in people's minds.
A long
still.
time to remember the details, you mean?
Well, like a year ago is like, you know, that's a fairly long time
Right.
to have behind you.
It's a big event, though. You know, I didn't ask you where,
yeah,
where you bought
of.
your shirt. You know,
Sort
that was
of.
always a, you know, it hit the press and stuff, and you must
Yeah,
have.
no, it sucked. It sucked because I was working so hard, Sean, on my reputation, my image. You know,
I
and
was
it broke
just going
my
to say,
heart.
we worked
It
together
broke my
2 years
heart.
ago in the summer. We did a U shoot, which was a lot of fun. And I have to say, and if I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong, and it's just a lack of experience dealing with people with problems, but I thought you were doing very well at that time. Yeah. There was a real accountability. And that's, as you know, the start of any kind of growth and healing and all that stuff is that accountability. You were speaking from a very healthy place.
Sure.
And so you're there. What goes wrong?
What goes wrong? Well, I mean, what goes... I was getting a lot of bookings. I like to think I work my ass off when I go out there still. Unlike a lot of guys in my situation.
We never hear that you're unable to perform or you don't show up.
Right.
Except Dixie Carter said something, but other than her.
Yeah, right.
Did you get a text recently?
Oh yeah, I did actually. I did. No, but I was in a really good place.
Yes.
But eventually, I started needing pain pills again. It was hurting, man. I'm going out there, and part of it's a cop out too. You're setting yourself up to use. But I had a perfectly good built-in excuse. I'm wrestling, and I'm going out there and busting my ass. Therefore, it's okay if I,
Can you work any way that wouldn't put your body at such risk at this time? I mean, you worked how you worked when you were 30.
Sure, yeah.
But would people in some way say, I didn't see X-Pac tonight. I saw some guy who used to be X-Pac.
Oh, I can still pull it out. It's just, it's just going to be not as much. But what's more important? My life or
right.
What
I'm saying is that why you do all the high risk stuff still, which makes you wake up the next.
People.
Right, that's what I mean.
I feel like it's part of the price of admission. If a certain band went out and then they didn't play their famous song, like that, people would be pissed.
But if that's
I've got
I've
got 4 or 5 songs.
No, Nash has 5 songs, including the hair flip. But if that's part and parcel to risking you getting back on the gimmicks, maybe it's worth playing 3 songs and.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Totally. And I still go out there and I still work hard, but I am very mindful right now of who I'm in there with, what I'm doing, what I'm allowing other people to do to me. Because I've had some bad experiences in the last couple of years with green guys. They didn't mean to hurt me or whatever, but I can't afford to be. I've had a couple concussions since the last time I seen you. Mm-hmm. I just can't afford that.
Do you take chair shots?
No more. No. I haven't taken a chair shot since I lived in New Mexico.
Tell me the timeline of your drug use. Not necessarily addiction. We could talk about when it got there, but where does it start in the life of a young wrestler, this young wrestler, and then up to and beyond where we are now?
Wow, that's, it's hard to... Everybody's... If you believe that addiction is a disease, everybody's acts so different, people handle their addictions in different ways. Some people are very good at maintaining, functioning,
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Hennig all those years,
When do you start?
When I started, honestly, the first time I took an illicit, besides pot.
That's what I was going to say, like you were 14, 15 smoking a joint.
Yeah, besides all that,
Florida. There's nothing else to do in Florida.
Right.
I smoked weed as a kid.
Yeah, and get arrested for trying to buy pain pills. But anyways, honestly, I never touched a pain pill until I went to the WWF.
In the clique.
It had nothing to do with the clique.
But at that time.
It was before the clique.
It was before the clique.
Became, before the clique formed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just something when you are anybody, let alone a kid, you know, I'm a kid at the time, you know, I'm 19, 20, you know, not old enough to get in the bars yet, you know, really borderline not mature enough to even be drinking, you know, let alone experimenting with, you know, pharmaceuticals. And I had no idea what I was getting, you know, I had no idea how addiction worked.
Right.
Any of these things, and these are all things that, I mean, I think people should learn in school before they, I mean, you should learn the stuff you learn in rehab in school before you have to fucking get to rehab, you know? But then that would, you know, a lot of rehab centers that lose a lot of money that way, probably.
Do you take pain pills as a young wrestler for pain first or for party?
That's a good question. Both, because the rings were extremely hard, and you just can't explain to the guys now because the rings, they look the same. When you watch television, the rings look the same, but I mean, that's where the similarities end. I mean, it was like you know, like laying on concrete.
No doubt.
You know,
no
we
doubt.
threw up blood every night. I was talking to Nash about this the other night. Me, Nash, Billy Gunn. You know, well, Billy Gunn was a hard bump taker, you know.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of hard bump. You know, we'd come back, we'd spit clams of blood up against the wall, you know. We'd be clotting blood in our lungs. It's just not normal. But, so yeah, you take them to be able to, you know,
So that's where
to get up for the match.
Right.
So, you know, because when you're hurting, and that, like, it's hard to get psyched up to go out there, you know.
So that's where it starts.
You know, a couple before
you
you
need
go out.
something. Someone says, "Hey, listen, I understand how you feel. Take these," and then
Sure.
you're off and
And
running.
most people would be just fine with that,
Right.
you know. But then you have a percentage that are predisposed to be drug addicts and alcoholics and whatnot, and you know, they're the ones that when they start down that road, it's a real slippery slope.